Sup nerds, here is the deck that brought justice to my locals. Starting off with our Tama, we are playing 4 Doraemon. When attacking, if you have 4 more sources in your stack, you draw a card. This is not once per turn, which is the best part about this because our boss monster swings multiple times a turn. So we just get to draw every time we swing. Very good card that came out in BT13 that I think is kind of slept on. Probably because black is pretty mid. Then on to our rookies. We're playing 4 Promo Sonorizamon. He gives all of your black Digimon with 13,000 DP or more piercing if he's on the field. And then his inheritable, your turn while the Digimon has 13,000 DP or more and is black, it gets security attack +1. This makes killing people a lot easier if we have this in our stack. And then we are playing 4 Chikurimon from starter deck 13. There's not really a lot of rookies that you want to play in this deck. So it kind of frees us up to play the Floodgate rookies. Currently, this is the best Floodgate rookie. It stops all the cross decks, all the stupid stuff like that, slows down Belphimon. So we max this guy out. And then our last 3 rookies, we are playing 3 Chumon from BT3. He alterns, your opponent can't gain memory except tamer effects. And also, obviously you guys can read the card, but all turns players can't reduce play cost, so that's why it slows down all those decks. Can't get memory except tamer effects, so this is actually really good if you're playing versus, I think, mostly just blue and purple. But if you're swinging at their security, it feels a little safer if you have this guy on the field, because you're not just going to lose like a random memory gain option or something like that. That is it. We're actually only playing 11 rookies. On to our champions, we are playing 4 Strike Dramon. When Digivolving, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add a black tamer from them to your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order, whatever. Then the inheritables, when attacking, if you have 2 or more black tamers in play, gain a memory. We're mostly just playing this guy because his name ends in Dramon, but these effects are pretty good and they do go with the deck. And unfortunately, that is the only Strike Dramon we currently have in English. So the rest of these are not Strike Dramon. We are playing 3 Seals Dramon from BT4. He has blocker, and then when attacking, lose 2 memory. He's just a generic blocker, one of the old school generic blockers. All the old heads are familiar with these cards. And then we're playing 2 Mercurymon. He is a hybrid, so this lets us just cheese out wins. And he evos for 2 on Tamer or level 3, which is nice. And then on play / when Digivolving, it gives one of your Digimon blocker to the end of your opponent's turn, which is pretty cool because you can give your Justimon blocker, or you can just give himself blocker. So there are 5 blockers in this deck, which doesn't really come up that much. This is basically an all or nothing deck, but it is nice having the ability to do that and maybe go on the defensive if you need to. And on to our ultimates, we are playing 4 Cyber Dramon from EX2. When Digivolving, you may play a Rio from your hand without paying memory cost, and then your turn. While you have no tamers in play, this Digimon cannot attack players. It can still attack Digimon, and him being 10k as a level 5 is actually massive. So you can still swing over other Digimon if you don't have a tamer in play, but usually you're going to have a tamer in play. And then the inheritable is very, very good. When attacking, if you have 2 or more black tamers in play, de-evo one of your opponent's Digimon. I wish this wasn't once per turn. I think this deck actually needs stuff like this to not be once per turn, but sadly it is once per turn. And then our other ultimate, we were playing 3 more Cyber Dramon from EX3. All turns, when you have a suspended tamer in play, this Digimon gets plus 2,000 DP. Getting Justy over the 15k threshold versus decks that are going to be running burst modes and stuff like that is actually pretty important. This cannon will come up. Then on to our megas, you guessed it, 4 Falcon Punch himself, Justimon Blitz Arm from EX2. When Digivolving, activate one of the effects below. You can either give him 2,000 DP, unsuspend him, or delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5 play cost or less. And then when attacking, for each tamer you have in play, activate this Digimon's when Digivolving effects. So unfortunately, the when attacking is once per turn, otherwise you could just repeatedly swing and unsuspend because one of his when Digivolving effects is unsuspending him. But what you do is you evo into him, typically give him a buff, swing, and then triggers when attacking to give him another buff, and then unsuspend him once. And that's 2 swings there. And if you have the Sonorizamon underneath him, that's 4 checks just off of that effect. But we have other things to abuse him a little more. The other megas we're playing 2 Excel Arm. He evos for 1 on top of a Digimon containing Justimon in name, so he can't evo on top of himself. And then the when Digivolving effect is you can return 1 level 6 Digimon card without Justimon Excel Arm in its name from the sources to give him security attack +1 and piercing for the turn. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll evo into him and then evo into him to add him back, and then his effect is when attacking, if you have a tamer in place, Digimon can digivolve into a Digimon card with Justimon in its name other than Accelarm for 2 memory, ignoring the evolution requirements. So you go evo, evo, bounce, swing, evo, and he'll unsuspend, and he's gonna have 2 checks, and if you have a Son of Rizumon, that'll have 3 checks. So you just swing twice, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that multiple times. So we are playing 2 Accelarms. And onto our tamers. We are playing 3 Rio from EX2. His 3-cost tamer. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Drummon or Justimon in its name among them to your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order, blah, blah, blah. He adds 4 level 4s and then everything up from that level. All of our level 5s and all of our level 6s, which is nice. And then his other effect is your turn. When you attack with a black Digimon, you can suspend him to give that Digimon 1000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Important for buffing our Justimon. You could argue that you need to play 4 of this, but it's kind of unnecessary. If he gained memory or something like that, I would absolutely play 4 of him. But the fact that he just gives you 1000 DP is kind of mid. But the extra 1000 DP does come up, and he is a good generic searcher for the deck, so that's why we are playing 3. And we get to play him for free off of our Cybergemon. And then we are also playing 3 Izzy Azumi from BT4. He has a memory setter, and then on play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If all of them are black, you gain a memory, then put them on top of your deck in any order. So we do need a memory setter in this deck. Being able to drop these guys for 3 memory, because it's effectively a 3 memory tamer, because we don't have any non-black cards in this deck. Because you need to be able to slam as many tamers on the field as possible before you go into Justimon. That's part of his whole shtick. I think the archetype actually needs more Digimon that play black tamers by effects. If we did get that, it'd probably make this deck a lot faster. But being able to organize your draws and potentially see what you're about to see if you like start evoing up is pretty nice. And then our last 3 tamers, we are playing 3 Izzy and Joe from BT6. Very good dual tamer. If your opponent has 2 more Digimon in play, gain 2 memory, and they stack obviously. The secondary effect is kind of lackluster compared to the other dual tamers we have, but it can come up. The opponent's turn, when one of your black Digimon is deleted, you can suspend this tamer to draw 1. It's only on the opponent's turn, and it's super underwhelming, but the start of the turn effect, the gain 2 memory, it's very hard for certain decks to play around this card and not just completely derail their game plan. And that is it. We are just playing 9 tamers. Onto our options. We are playing 4 black memory boosts. We need to see our pieces early and often. The effect is reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add a black Digimon card to your hand, put the rest on the bottom deck in any order, and then put this card in your battle area. And then main, you can delay, except for the turn this goes into play, gain 2 memory. Very good for setting up your Wombo and then popping off with that extra memory. Then our last 4 options. This deck desperately needs stuff like this. We're playing 4 Ultimate Flare from BT5. This deck desperately needs answers to boss monsters and security bombs to slow down opposing decks that potentially may be faster than it. So this is a pretty old card, but the effect is trigger D-Digivolve 3, one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost 3 or less. So this can absolutely decimate an entire board if your opponent just has a Mega and a bunch of rookies, or just 3 cost whatever's on the field. It's pretty good removal. D-Evo is probably the best generic removal we have. Maybe tied with DP reduction as far as just generic removal. But a very, very strong card, and really nice to see in your security to blow out your opponent. And also, it's not even that bad to have in your hand. Especially if you're playing against a 1-stack deck or a deck that this just decimates their whole field. It doesn't feel that bad to play this. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys the combo real quick as far as like OTKing with this deck. So this is basically an ideal stack. You don't really need all of these effects, but the Son of Riza does make OTKing significantly easier, so seeing that in your stack is very good. So you start your turn at 3, maybe even 5. 5 would be cool, but it's not necessary. So you start your turn at 3, you promote your stack, because you can absolutely Evo this guy in Raising and just wait a turn. You don't need to Evo into him the turn you're popping off. So what you do is you go ahead and swing once, you draw from Doraemon, pretty cool. You tap Rio, give him 1000 DP, and then you activate his Wind Digivolving effect 3 times, so you unsuspend him, and then the other 2 times you just give him 2000 DP. So he's +4, +5, +6, 7, 6,000 DP, so he is 18k, and that gives him an additional check here. You gain memory off this, so you're checking 2 security for 18. So that reduces your opponent to 3 security. Then you evo into this guy for 1. Activate the effect to bounce this Justimon back to your hand to give him an additional check and piercing for the turn. He is still huge, and you are currently, if you started your turn at 3 memory, this gains your memory, so you'd go back to 3 again. And then you swing again, activate his when attacking effect, evo into this guy for 2, then activate his Windage Evolving effect to unsuspend him again, and now he has 3 checks. So that's the rest of your opponent's security, and then you swing for game. If for some reason they had a blocker on the first swing, he would actually unsuspend again on that attack, and you'd be drawing cards every time you attacked again as well, because the Doraemon is not once per turn, like I said. Yeah, and then you just kill them, and it's just game. A really, really powerful and explosive deck. The only drawback of this deck is it is a glass cannon. I've tried to tech in Delicate Plan and some red ties in it, but it makes it a little too clunky to really warn it, especially when security control is not actually a deck right now, and you don't really have to worry about too many options in your opponent's security. If you do have a locals that has a lot of security control players or something like that, I definitely would highly recommend playing starter deck tie with a Delicate Plan in there, because then you don't really have to worry about much, and security control gives you enough time to like see your pieces. Like the amount that would slow your deck down would be negligible versus security control, because that's not a fast deck. This deck is very fun to play. It's fun just womboing people. I highly recommend trying it out. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, just put them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer anything. Also, we just launched memberships for the channel. So if you guys are interested in either getting exclusive perks or just supporting the channel, it would be very much appreciated. The link to do that will be in the pinned comment below. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe for just this kind of content. Want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.